In 1952, Boeing flew a new bomber for the first time. Dwight Eisenhower hadn't even been elected president. The interstate highway system didn't exist. Elvis Presley hadn't recorded his first hit. That bomber was the B-52 Stratofortress. More than 7 decades later, it isn't sitting behind velvet ropes in a museum. The United States Air Force is putting new engines, new radar, new electronics, and new weapons on it, and preparing it to serve into the 2050s and potentially beyond. Think about what that means. America has built supersonic bombers, stealth bombers, bombers designed with computers and materials the B-52's original engineers could scarcely have imagined. The B-1 came, the B-2 came. Now the B-21 Raider is arriving. And somehow, the B-52 is still here. Not because America hasn't built more advanced bombers. It has. The real reason is much more interesting. Technology didn't make the B-52 useless. In some ways, technology gave this old airplane new reasons to exist. And to understand how that happened, you have to go back to what Boeing got right more than 70 years ago. The original requirement was brutally simple. Carry a very large weapons load a very long distance. That shaped almost everything about the airplane. The B-52 became enormous. 159 feet long, with a wingspan of 185 feet. Fully loaded, it can weigh close to 500,000 pounds. And even today, a B-52H can carry approximately 70,000 pounds of mixed ordnance. Its unrefueled range is roughly 8,800 miles. Those numbers matter. But what's more important is what they allow the airplane to do. The B-52 has room for fuel, room for weapons, room for equipment, and, crucially, room for engineers to keep changing what the airplane carries and how it fights. That's the first key to its survival. The B-52 stopped being merely a bomber design and became something closer to a flying weapons platform. And platforms can evolve. The aircraft flying today may have the silhouette of a Cold War bomber, but the technology inside it has changed enormously. Navigation changed, communications changed, weapons changed, electronic systems changed, radar changed, and now even some of the most fundamental systems on the aircraft are being transformed. In 2025, a B-52 fitted with a new modernized active electronically scanned array radar arrived at Edwards Air Force Base for testing. The new system replaces radar technology rooted in the 1960s and is intended to improve navigation and targeting while making future capability upgrades easier. And then there are those 8 engines. The B-52H still flies with Pratt & Whitney TF-33 engines, technology that has powered the H model for decades. But the Air Force is now moving forward with replacing them with Rolls-Royce F-130 turbofans. In May 2026, that program passed its critical design review, clearing an important hurdle toward modifying the first 2 test aircraft. The new engines are intended to improve fuel efficiency, electrical capacity, and sustainability, while helping keep the B-52 viable through 2050 and beyond. Those upgrades tell us something important. The Air Force isn't preserving the B-52. It's rebuilding what the B-52 can do. But none of that completely answers the mystery. Because America has already built much newer bombers. So why didn't they kill it? For that, we have to look at the B-52's biggest weakness. It isn't stealthy, not even close. As Soviet air defenses became more dangerous during the Cold War, sending a huge B-52 deep into heavily defended territory became increasingly risky. Vietnam proved just how real that danger could be. During the 12-day linebacker, campaign in December 1972, the Air Force lost 15 B-52s as North Vietnamese defenses threw surface-to-air missiles at the bomber formations. The lesson was impossible to ignore. Against sophisticated air defenses, a giant bomber designed in the 1950s could be vulnerable. And that's part of why the generations that followed looked so different. The B-1 emphasized speed and low-altitude penetration. The B-2 introduced an entirely different level of stealth. And now, the B-21 Raider is being built around capabilities the men who drew the first B-52 could never have imagined. You might expect that progression to end the B-52's story. Instead, something unexpected happened. The weapons changed. The B-52 no longer had to solve every problem by flying directly over it. Long-range standoff weapons allowed the bomber to attack from much farther away. That changed the equation. If a weapon can travel a great distance after leaving the aircraft, suddenly, the launch platform doesn't always need to penetrate the most dangerous airspace itself. And that plays directly into what the B-52 has always done well. Carry a lot, carry it far, stay in the air, and give commanders options. The irony is almost perfect. Technology made the B-52 vulnerable. Then another generation of technology helped make it useful again. And that's why comparing a B-52 directly with a B-2 or B-21 misses the point. A stealth bomber can do things a B-52 cannot. The B-52 can do things where paying for that penetrating stealth capability isn't necessarily the requirement. They aren't simply old and new versions of the same hammer. They're different tools. The Air Force itself describes the B-52 as capable of missions, including strategic attack, air interdiction, offensive counter-air, and maritime operations, while carrying both nuclear and precision-guided conventional weapons. And that's the second key to its survival. The B-52 doesn't have to be the best bomber at everything. It only has to remain extremely useful at the jobs it still performs. There's also something strange about seeing these aircraft on a flight line today. The youngest B-52Hs were built in the early 1960s. That means today's pilots and maintainers are working with machines constructed before many of their parents were born. Yet those same aircraft can carry weapons that didn't exist when the airplanes were built, communicate through systems nobody in 1962 could have designed, and receive targeting information from a military network belonging completely to the digital age. The outside says Cold War. The mission systems increasingly say 21st century. And the transformation isn't finished. The next major evolution is commonly referred to as the B-52J, new F-130 engines, modernized radar. Weapons upgrades, changes needed to integrate all of it. The Air Force says the engine program is intended to help keep the Stratofortress in the nation's long-range strike force through 2050 and beyond. By then, the B-52 design will be approaching a century since its first flight. Some surviving H model airframes themselves could be roughly 90 years old. An operational military airplane built when John F. Kennedy was president could still be serving when the middle of the 21st century arrives. That's difficult to comprehend, but it's also why saying America simply failed to replace the B-52 doesn't quite tell the story. America did build more advanced bombers. The B-1 arrived. The B-2 arrived. The B-21 is now becoming the next generation. Yet none of that automatically erased the things the B-52 remained good at: payload, range, flexibility, and perhaps most importantly, adaptability. That's the real secret of this airplane. It wasn't frozen in 1962. The airframe remained while the technology around it kept changing. New weapons gave it new reach. New electronics gave it new awareness. New radar will give it new capability. New engines are intended to give it another generation of life. And every time somebody could reasonably ask, why are we still flying this old thing? Engineers found another useful job for it to do. That's why the B-52 survived the analog age. It survived Vietnam. It survived the arrival of supersonic bombers. It survived the arrival of stealth. And now it's preparing to fly alongside the B-21. Not because technology stopped advancing, because technology kept finding new ways to make an old airplane useful. That's the difference between an old machine and a great platform. An old machine eventually reaches the point where there's nothing left worth upgrading. A great platform keeps giving engineers somewhere to put the next idea. And more than 70 years after the B-52 first took to the sky, America apparently still hasn't run out of ideas for this one. But the Air Force isn't the only branch flying a machine from another era. The Army has a helicopter whose basic design first flew more than 60 years ago. It fought in Vietnam. It's still hauling enormous loads today, and once again, engineers haven't found a compelling reason to abandon the basic idea. That's the Chinook, and its story may be even stranger.